So, you want to start a reaction video, but you have no idea where to start and you have no editing experience. Well, I was in the same boat as you 5 months ago, and I can help you out. Basically, this is what I do. This is what I found works well for me. I know it's not going to work for everybody, and I know that my method is probably not the best. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it, but this is just how I found a way that works for me and what I do. So basically, I will start with the programs that I use. I'll put a link in the description for each program that I'm using here so you can easily find them. And then I'll go into the editing process and how to then upload the video to Patreon and how to use Vimeo properly, or use YouTube, for your uploading your full reactions to Patreon. Your choice. Vimeo is a paid service, so you don't have to use that. I just choose to use that. And then I'll go through the process of editing the video for YouTube and copyright issues. So first things first, you're going to need at least 3 programs to record and then edit your video. I use 2 programs to record. Now I know you can probably do everything in one program, but for me it's just easier to record them in different programs. What I mean by this is I use one program to capture my screen and the audio that gets produced from the video that's playing on my screen. So I'll play the movie on one monitor, and then I will record the monitor and all the sound that comes from that. I will use a different program to record my mic and my webcam that I use to record our video. And those programs I use are Streamlabs OBS, which is right here. I have this recording on my other monitor, so as you can see it's going to be a little confusing looking at this up here, so let's just kind of ignore that for now. But basically this is Streamlabs OBS, and you can see my mic bouncing here. This is good audio levels. You want to be up in the yellow, and when I have something playing, my audio output here will usually be here. I mute this. I don't use this. I know it's a little confusing. I'm using this now to record this video, but this is not normally how I record my reactions. So basically what I do is I have display capture set up. You have to add a source. I'll do a little bit of a demonstration here for you. So you want to do source, display capture, hit add source, and then you want to choose add source. Yeah. So once you have the source here, you can always go into the settings and choose if you want it on display 1 or display 2. Mine's always on display 1, and that way I know which monitor I need to have the video playing on in order for it to record properly. So I'm just going to remove that here since I don't have duplicates. You also want to make sure you have the audio output set to your speakers, and that way you can obviously hear the sound that's coming from the movie as well, because display is only going to capture the picture, then you have to get the audio on here as well. So that would be step 1, and this is all fairly easy. All you need to do is come in here and add a source and pick display capture and then audio output capture and choose your default device most likely. As far as the next program goes, I also use OBS, but I use the default OBS, the older version. This is going to capture my webcam camera, and then usually it captures my microphone. I'm using a different mic today, so that's why I'm using Streamlabs OBS to capture that. So I don't have to have 2 programs. It's not necessary for this. So usually this will capture my Yeti mic that I have pictured here and our talking in this video when we're seated here. So I use that, and what I do is I pull both of my programs up and I hit start recording and record as quickly as I can. Not 100% necessary, but I just like them to be close together. Makes it somewhat easier to edit when you have the sound sources closely linked. Now the reason that I have separate audio files and I do it this way is so that my audio for our recording of the video of us talking and the recording of the movie is going to be on separate files. Now that's very important because you want to be able to potentially mute a track without muting the other one while you're editing. And I can give you an example of that in just a minute. Alright, so the last program that you're going to need is a video editor. Now, there's 4 different programs that I have tried to edit videos in, and I have done pretty much one movie reaction in each of these programs, and I have found Shotcut to be the easiest one, the most user-friendly to use with an inexperienced editor such as myself. I would say a lot of reactors use Sony Vegas. It's a very expensive program. I may or may not have gotten mine with the Pirates, but I just wanted to try it before I went and spent $700 on it, and it's very convoluted. It's confusing. Now it's doable, yes, and it has a lot more features in it that Shotcut doesn't have, but if you're only trimming a video and you're not making some 360 no scope montage, you don't need all of that bulkiness that Vegas has. DaVinci is another lightweight program. I would actually put them in this order. DaVinci is another lightweight program that I am getting used to, but it's still not my favorite. I would use DaVinci or Shotcut out of any of these 4. Now, Shotcut for me is my favorite because it's just very simple. The hotkeys make sense for me, and it's lightweight. So basically, what I do with Shotcut is I open up my Shotcut program, and this is going to be your playlist right here. This is where you're going to want to drag and drop all your files. So just as an example, let's choose my Mortal Kombat reaction. So I'll drop our webcam capture in here, so that'll save that there. And then I want to go to my display capture, since I have them separately, and just find it real quick. Alright, so there's my display capture. Now, how I get my, it's probably important too, how I get my videos is generally I just go on Netflix or Hulu and I stream it, or Amazon, and I rent it. That's how I do my videos. Now, some people torrent them and just throw the torrent into their editor, and that's possible too. But I like the option of, if I pause the movie while I'm watching it to ask a question or to take a bathroom break or something like that, that when I press play on the movie, my screen record is going to catch all of that, and I can edit that out very easily. Whereas if I just throw the torrent file in the video editor, it's not going to be able to easily see and to be easily edited out. For me, anyway. That's obviously up to personal preference. But once you have the 2 files that you have in here, what you want to do is drag them down to your timeline down here. So what I've been doing is dragging one file down, and that just puts the entire file down here, and then I right click and I go to add video track, and I drag the next one down. Alright, so now you have 2 videos overlapping each other. So what do you do here? Well, I click on V2, which is going to select basically this entire row, and I'm going to add a filter to it. Now these filters, you can preset different customizations. These are all my favorites right now, and I use these pretty frequently. So the filter is basically a video effect that you can put on. You can do all sorts of kind of effects, like lower the opacity, you can flip the video, crop it, change the size, add audio effects to mute out music, different, maybe you want to mute out curse words, things like that. So you can do all of that with these filters. So essentially what I'm going to do is just adjust the size of the display capture so it fits in a window about here in the center. Now you can click on this grid and center it. That's it. Now if you'd like, you can also adjust your camera. Maybe you want to zoom in a little bit and just bring it up a little so her head's not cut off so much. Alright, and then when you play it, you have your display being recorded over your webcam being recorded. Now, what my shortcut is doing right here is it's making a proxy of each clip that I uploaded into this playlist. Now, it's going to take a few minutes because it's a 2-hour long clip. But a proxy basically is compressing the video, which makes it easier to edit. If it didn't do this proxy, you're going to hear audio skipping. It's going to lag when you try to add an effect. It's just going to be a mess, and it's going to take you 10 hours to edit a video, and most of that time is you're going to be waiting for your next click to load. Now these proxies do this automatically for me because I enabled that in a setting. So that setting is settings, proxy, use proxy. Now that should automatically compress the videos that you put in this playlist on its own. And then it basically just compresses the video down to like 240p. So you don't need high quality 1080p video when you're editing. It's just going to bog you down. And it lags the audio and everything else. So right now what I'm going to do is find when we sit down and start talking.
Guys, welcome back to...
Alright, so you see how the audio is a little choppy here?
Hey guys, welcome back to Relax with J and C.
And it's a little slow. That's because it's not compressed down yet. So once this is done compressing down, I'm going to come back and we'll do the rest of the recording. Okay, so my proxy is done. You can see the quality here has dipped down. So basically what we're going to do now is find where I start talking, and then we're going to cut all of this 3 minutes out, so it's not there anymore. So
hey guys, welcome back to Relax with J and C.
Much better audio. Alright, so we're going to cut here. Now you can do that multiple ways. I use my keyboard. So if I go say here, this is where I wanted to cut. S is to make a cut. And that splits the clip into 2 separate pieces. And then from there I can just hit the delete key and delete it. Or you can come up here and say split at playhead, and that will also cut it where this white bar is. Now with shortcut, one of the downsides is that it only does one source at a time. Now with DaVinci Resolve, I believe you can do both sources at the same time, make the same cut. It's kind of a pain with shortcut with that regards, but there is kind of a way around it. You just make a cut with S, you click the second source, and you make a cut with S, and it's both on the same spot. Not that hard. Now say, since I hit delete and I got rid of that piece, what I could do now is drag this all the way back to the beginning, but we don't want to do that. That takes a lot of time. So what I'm going to do then is just get rid of these and pretend like we're starting over. And let's just match this up here. Alright, so pretend I didn't do those other cuts as an example. So I just cut here, we found our beginning where we want to be. What I'm going to do is press X. Now X is going to cut this part out, but it's also going to move everything down to the start of where this ended. So if I press X now, and X on the bottom layer, Now my beginning video is right at the 0-second mark.
Hey guys, welcome back
And
to
we're ready to
Relax with J and C.
Now,
Come on!
alright, so that was that was a mess up anyway. Alright, so I'm
JNC.
trying to find where we ended the intro and we started the movie. So I'm going to look for the movie starting. So here's audio for the movie, so we must be close. Now what I'm going to do is find... So I found where we do our sound matchup. Now, of course, this is going to be a little bit of a confusing one, so basically try to follow along as best as you can. But basically what I do is I say 3, 2, 1, start. And when I say start, I click play on my mouse at the exact same time. So that's how I line up my videos. A lot of times at the very beginning of the movie, there's a huge sound bite for the starting of the music or something, which makes it slightly easier. But right now, basically, we're going to do this. So,
What do you think?
yeah. Alright, so here's ending of the intro. So what I'm going to do after we ended the intro is cut both sides here. And then I'm going to play until...
For editing purposes.
I say 3, 2, 1, start. Alright, so I said start, and I gotta make sure that my mouse
2, 1,
presses play at the exact same time, which it does, because I started it so quickly with my recording next to each other. So that's why it's important to hit start recording as quickly as possible, because then it makes it easier for the start of the movie and the actual start of the webcam recording sound bites to be linked up. And that way when you're watching the movie and you're reacting, it's going to be to what's actually being displayed. Alright, so this is just for editing purposes. So me talking here and the blank screen and stuff, I'm just going to cut that out. So again, we're going to hit X to cut that out, X to cut that out. Now I'm going to also hit the delete key so I don't have this part go all the way back to the start. So if I hit the delete key, then we have the intro with no movie.
Thank you so much for your support, guys. We
Yeah.
are so grateful.
And then I'm going to say, okay, let's get into it. And it cuts out the start and the movie's going. This basically is going to run the whole time. So this bar here, you can zoom out and zoom in. Generally when I edit my videos down, I like to have 10 or 15 seconds in between my gaps here, and that way I'll explain that in a few minutes, but right now just remember 10 to 15 seconds there. So we're going to zoom out a little bit so we can kind of see the entire play head. So here's our intro, here's movie start, and here's going to be the end of the movie. Alright, so I'm going to add a cut and just delete that. So now in our outro, there's no movie above us and it's just us talking. Okay, now this is how I would edit it for Patreon. Okay, so my Patreon, I pay for Vimeo, which is a service that Patreon uses. You can upload videos to Vimeo, and then it automatically uploads onto Patreon. And Vimeo is a paid service where you pay for a certain amount of cloud usage a week or something like that, and you can upload videos and have your Patreon viewers have a exclusive access link that is only available to click on through Patreon. So, if you are on Patreon and you're following somebody, let's just say, here are the people that I'm following. So, let's just say we're going to look at Death Wept here, because I know he uses Vimeo as well. So, if we look at Death Wept's channel, we can see he's got his posts up here, and if we click on it, it's going to show his Vimeo channel, and he's going to have the full reaction, all that right here for you. Now, I also have that, but if you notice, his videos, the thumbnails weren't working properly. Now, I do know how to get around that. If you can see here, my thumbnails are up. A lot of times what Vimeo will do is if you're uploading it straight from Vimeo, so when you go to create a new post on Patreon, if you want to use Vimeo, you do not want to upload your video this way, through Vimeo, through Patreon's portal, because it's not going to look right. You won't have your thumbnail. It's going to look, it's just not going to look the same. So what I do is I go to Vimeo, I add a new video, and I just upload it here. Now let's use the most recent one here, Money Talks. So once it's uploaded, it's going to give you options for privacy. Now if you upload it straight from Patreon, it's going to be checked here, hide from Vimeo. It's going to be completely private. Nobody will ever be able to see it unless they click on your Patreon link, which is very secure, and only your Patreon subscribers will ever be able to see this Vimeo link. But like I said, the thumbnail gets screwed up. People can't view it on mobile if you do it that way. I've had a lot of issues with that, where on mobile, if you have that selected and you do it this way, it just doesn't work. Vimeo, I've tried contacting Patreon and Vimeo support. The only way that I've found for it to actually work is if you set it to private. Specific domains still can be Patreon, but you have to set it to private and then copy and paste this link here to the new video URL. If you do that, it will pop up with the thumbnail and it will still work. That's how I've gotten this to work. Now, as far as Patreon goes, when you create your account, you'll have your home screen, and you can see how many Patreons you have, how much you're earning. A very important thing that I made a mistake on is you want to, when you're editing your profile, is you want to make sure that your Patreons are getting charged up front. I had about 2 months where Patreons would join my page, immediately cancel their membership, have full access to my entire catalog, and they never had to pay me a dime because they were basically getting a free trial. Patreon only charges the patron at the first of the month. So if they come in on the 2nd, they cancel it on the 1st of the next month, they basically get 30 days free of your Patreon. So you want to make sure you charge up front. I have not done annual memberships yet. You can do that. You know, it's an option. As far as the tiers go, I've had good success with an $8 full access tier showing the movie and everything with Vimeo. Now, you cannot show the full movie on YouTube. Even if you're showing the full movie in your private or unlisted videos, you cannot have it like this on YouTube. It will not allow it. It will copyright block it. It will completely block it, and it will not allow anybody to view it. Let's see. Vimeo, I have one of these packages. My Vimeo package I have right now is $20 a month. My Patreon subscribers are more than making up for that for me, so I'm perfectly happy with paying for this. But when you're just starting out, if you don't want to upfront pay $200 something for the year for Vimeo, then I would suggest only doing something like this with your edits. Now, with your edit, what I've seen people do, when they upload the full reaction, they do it to YouTube. However, when they say 3, 2, 1, start, they leave that 3, 2, 1 start in, play maybe the first 10 seconds of the video, cut it, and then do this.
I was just like, man.
So they have their full reaction. You have this much time to sync up your video with theirs. And then if you, assuming you get it done correctly, then you have this to watch while you watch the movie or TV show on a separate screen of your choice. You know, it could be mobile or a different monitor or something like that. Personally, I don't like to do it that way, so that's why I was hoping to, when I did my reaction channel, to provide the full video, and that way you didn't have to have two separate sources for screens to watch something on. Vimeo currently does not block full unedited movie content like that, so I can watch the full thing unedited and it won't be taken down. I don't know how legal that is fully. I don't understand if maybe they will end up blocking this in the future and I will have to change my method, but for right now that works, and I'm going to do it until I no longer can. As far as editing down the video for YouTube, that's the trickiest part of this entire process. Now, I had no video editing experience when I came into this, so getting this right took me a long time, and it still takes me quite a long time to edit the videos to get them exactly how I want them. I will give you a sample edit here of I'll do a couple examples for you on this Mortal Kombat video, and we'll see how that goes. Let's say we want to see this scene here. I'm going to zoom in just slightly so we're at 10 seconds. Okay. So.
Okay.
Alright. So we have I don't know if you guys have seen Mortal Kombat or not, but we have Sub-Zero breaking into this building and cutting a guy up right there. See? Alright, so that was a cool scene, but we can't have this entire scene on YouTube without it getting demonetized and taken down potentially. So what we're going to do is we are going to watch a little bit of it. Alright, so we see the cool part, we stop. And we're going to cut and cut so we know where our place is. And I'm going to play past the scene. Here's our surprise reaction. And this is what I do. I split again, and I delete key, get rid of that part. So now we have like 3 seconds of video right here. So this would be my scene. I have 3 seconds of video right here. The cool part comes, then you have our reaction, and then the video can come back and you can do it all over again. Basically, you want to do that, but over and over and over again for the entire 2-hour movie. So this might take you 5, 6, 7 hours of editing time to edit this down to make it appropriate for YouTube, because it takes a long time. So you want to keep doing this in like 10-second clip intervals, and you don't want to include too many clips of the same scene, because that, even if I split this here, say I did a split here like this, and I did something like that. This is just an example, but this would probably even still be too much of one scene. A lot of times, if I'm going to have a large chunk, say I wanted all of this chunk of the movie in my YouTube video because it was really, really important. What you could do is let this play for a few seconds. What I'll do is I'll split at a non-important part, and then once the dialogue starts, I'll pick it back up. Now what I'm going to do with this middle piece is I'm going to add a filter. So I'm just going to add a filter here, and we're going to blur it a little bit. Right? So if we blur it and we go back and watch it, this could still pass with YouTube's copyright laws. Right? Because you're not seeing the video as well. You might want to do a higher blur, but you're not seeing it. You're getting some audio, but you're not seeing the full thing. If you want to be extra careful, what I do is called band pass, and I do a roll-off rate of like 4 to 5, and that's going to add a filter to the audio, so it's going to mute out some of the music. And once it mutes out that music, you're good to go. YouTube's not going to pick up on the music part of that, and if you block out some of the video portion of that, it's not going to be video copyrighted as well. So you could blur part of it the entire time if you wanted to, or you could just delete it like that and just have a gap. Now say you have a gap like this and a huge chunk of nothing going on, we're not talking or anything right here. You could do something like this where you split and split, delete, and just drag it over. So now we have less of a gap in time. Makes it a little bit more enjoyable for viewers to watch. Now again, this is just really quick. I would do it probably much more than this, because you're going to have issues with copyright regardless. Now there are multiple ways that you can do the splitting and the editing and the filters, but this is just an example of how I'm doing it currently right now. Okay, so just for an example what I mean by doing it over and over and over again, here's my latest Naruto video that we made for my channel. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of cuts. So here we have a big chunk of us talking, which I cut out all of the video for because you don't want to have unnecessary movie or TV show content playing if you can avoid it. It's just going to help avoid copyright issues if you cut it out entirely. Now, here's like a quick little scene for you. As you can see, I added with anime, they're very strict. The anime companies tend to be very strict with their video being used for any type of YouTube reactions and stuff like that. So if you're going to be doing anime, drop the opacity down, maybe add a watermark or something like that to help with just avoiding that copyright. But see how it pops in, pops out? You can do that. Absolutely. I have no problems with doing that with copyright, with Naruto. It works every time, 100% of the time. Okay, here's an example of a different editing style that I tried to do just recently. I wanted to try to do something a little bit different. A lot of reactors are doing it this way, so here is an example. So in this example, I have the movie up in the background, and then we are in a little cropped out bubble in the corner. And then when we talk, I add blur and I pop us up in the big middle section here with blur in the background, and I mute the video in the back. So far this has been working for me with the copyright section on YouTube, so I will let you know if any of that changes, but I think a lot of reactors do this, and seems to work out for them. Basically, though, you want to try for like an hour-and-a-half movie, or 2-hour movie or whatever. YouTube wants you to have less than 10 minutes of the movie or TV episode content in your video. This is not a restreaming service for YouTube. This is a critique and a review. So you're only really allowed to post clips to review of the movie and to show a subject material, not show the entire show or movie. Basically, that's why they do that. So if you keep your reaction down to 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you're probably going to be okay as long as you don't have, like I said, longer than 10-second clips in your scenes that you have. See how I cut that out there? It was like 10 seconds. Then you show your reaction. If there's a lot of downtime, you cut pretty much all of that out unless the scene is super important. But if it's super important, most of the time you're going to be reacting in some sort of way. So now you have completed your edit. You have it all done. What do you do from here? Well, in Shotcut, you're going to want to export your video. So if you go to Export, you can choose YouTube, and you can hit Export File again. Basically, you title it here, save it as an MP4. It's going to render your video. That render is going to take, depending on how long you made your video, it's going to take anywhere from, in my experience, an hour to 2.5 hours, depending on how long the video is. The longer that it is, the longer it's going to take your render to happen. Once that render's done, though, you just upload video. There you go. You just upload. And then you set the title to whatever you want, description whatever you want. If you created a thumbnail, you can add a playlist. I always hit no, it's not for kids, because I do curse in my videos, but that's up to you. And basically, that's all you're going to really need to do for YouTube. Once you edit that down, you put it on YouTube. Once you get enough subscribers, you can worry about monetization. I think you need at least 1,000 subscribers and a certain amount of hours watch time. So if you do end up getting a copyright claim, this is going to be annoying. YouTube's copyright claim is very strict and it's very confusing. So some of my copyright claims are, let's see, I got, of course, my most hitted videos are the rush hour ones. Let's see, we got 43,000 here, copyrighted. I can't make any money on this video unless I take it down and re-edit it. If I do that, though, I'm going to lose all of my views and I'd have to start from scratch, so I've just decided to leave it. There's a caveat to that. If you go to see details on the copyright claim, it will tell you the section that it found and that it's copyrighted. So section 9, from 19 minutes and 8 seconds to 19 minutes and 20 seconds, if you go back in and re-edit that, maybe you'd pass the copyright check next time. What you could also do is use YouTube's trim out segment option. So you could trim out segment, type in 1908, what was it, 1921, you hit continue, it will trim that part out entirely, and you can see if it passes. My experience with this is that once you trim it out, and this one's actually currently trimming, oh no, yeah, so I've currently trimmed this Shanghai Nights video. I've currently trimmed this 2 times. Every time it's done, it comes back and it gives me a different time to cut out. It used to give you all of the times at once. Now it's only giving you 1 time in a single copyright claim, which is extremely annoying because you have to do this 4 or 5 times to figure out if it's ever going to pass. Once I've trim it like 3 times, I just give up on it because I don't want to lose the views that I already have. With this one, I tried to take it down and re-edit it. If you can see, it says re-upload, and now I've only got 300 views on it. It was at 1,000, which for my channel is, I wish it was more, but it is what it is. So what I'm going to do, like with Money Talks here, it says visibility unlisted. Your video may pass the initial copyright check that YouTube puts on. Again, let's go back here, upload videos. So you edited a description, you added a playlist, you did a thumbnail. Okay, now what? You might not have monetization yet, but you could hit monetization, you can hit on. Add suitability, you can choose if you have inappropriate language, if there's sexual content, violence, whatever. Submit your own rating. That part's cool. As far as the checks go, this checks for copyright right here. It'll tell you right here if you have a claim, if there's a part that needs to be cut out, if it's going to be blocked entirely. It will tell you that right here. Now, what's been happening for me is that this has a little green check mark and it says copyright passed, no issues found. And then I upload the video, and then 2 days later it will tell me that the studio is claiming, it'll tell me that the studio is claiming copyright on a visual claim or an audio claim on the video. So what I'm going to do is leave my video in unlisted for 3 to 4 days and see if a claim happens. That way I don't accrue views on it. These views are just from me checking it out and editing it. That way I don't accrue views on the video before I have to take it down and re-upload it, because that would, it's going to lose all of your progress on that and your potential income. Okay, so that was my first and only ever tutorial video. I hope I didn't miss anything. I know I kind of bounced back and forth a few times over things. I'm sorry about that. I tried to write a little bit of a script out and see if I could follow that, but I know I missed a thing or two and I had to go back, and I tend to repeat myself a lot. But I hope this helped out somebody. I know I've helped out a couple of the Patreon followers and people that I subscribe to. They had some questions about streaming services and what to use and how to do it, and I've helped a couple of them out. So I figured it's definitely needed. I haven't seen any YouTube videos on how to edit videos specifically for reaction videos, how to use Patreon and Vimeo effectively. So I figured I'd just throw a quick little tutorial out there. Hopefully I can get this done and quick and easy, and it makes sense. Alright, so if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I hope I helped somebody out. Thank you.